Our building skips the 13th floor, but the elevator still stops there. The button panel jumps from 12 to 14. Yet at 3:13 a.m. the doors open on a floor that isn't supposed to exist. My first New York apartment was a steal, $1.200 for a sunlit studio on the Lower East Side, so cheap it should have been condemned. The Craigslist ad said pre-war charm, which really mean haunted by whatever died in the walls. The broker, a man whose suit shone like an oil slick, rushed me through the lobby. Building skips the 13th floor, he chirped. Superstitious old-timers. Inside the elevator, brass cage, lattice gate, buttons ran 1 to 12, then 14, 15, 16. Number 13. The panel looked factory original. No sign of removal, no filled hole. It simply forgot. I signed the lease anyway. I was 22, fresh from Ohio, carrying more student debt than common sense. Move-in day blurred into boxes and pizza. By midnight I collapsed, dreaming of sirens and radiator clang. At 3:13 a.m. exactly, the building shuddered. Not an earthquake, more like a giant exhaled through brick. I woke to the sound of cables twanging. My phone screen glowed. 3:13. Outside in the hall, the elevator gate rattled though nobody rode at that hour. I peeked through the peephole, the corridor empty, bulb flickering Morse code. I went back to bed. Week 1 passed uneventfully. Roaches, yes, but no ghosts. I worked nights at a sports bar, came home at 2 a.m., collapsed by 3. One Thursday I left the bar early, manager cut hours. I reached the lobby at 2:58 a.m. The elevator stood open, waiting like a mouth. I stepped in, pressed 14. The cage climbed. I watched floors through the lattice. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then a soft chime I'd never heard, almost apologetic. The car slowed. Between 12 and 14 a red light I had never noticed flicked on. 13 and a half. The doors parted. I waited for the doors to close again. Glitch, I thought. They remained open. Beyond lay a corridor lit by sputtering gas lamps, brass fixtures older than the building itself. Wallpaper sagged, pattern of black-eyed Susans turned brown with mildew. Ceiling too low, maybe 6'6", as if the entire floor had been compressed under immense weight. Smell of wet paper and iodine. My ears popped. I hit repeatedly. Nothing. So I stepped out, just 1 foot, to find the call button on the wall. The instant my shoe touched carpet, the elevator doors sealed behind me with a sigh-like relief. The car descended. I heard it hit lobby, cable slacken. I was alone on a floor that did not exist. Both directions looked identical, endless hallway, doors every 12 feet, numbers stenciled in tarnished brass. I tried the nearest, 13½ B unlocked. Inside, a studio apartment, walls painted hospital green. No furniture except a child's school desk facing the corner. Chalk drawings on wallpaper. Stick figures holding hands, all missing heads. On the desk lay a composition book. Inside, pages of signatures, names and dates in chronological order starting 1921. The last entry, Clara Mendez, the 13th of October, 2013. My move-in date, exactly 10 years later to the day. Blank lines waited below. I did not add my name. Back in the hall, speakers crackled. A voice genderless, accentless, spoke. Interview will commence. Please proceed to 13½ M. Every door now bore a letter. Previously they had numbers. The corridors stretched longer than the building footprint allowed. Escher made flesh. I walked. My sneakers made no sound, as if carpet absorbed both noise and consequence. Door M stood ajar. Inside, a waiting room lit by a single bulb swinging on frayed wire. 2 chairs. 1 occupied. A man in security uniform. Name tag Ray. Stared ahead, eyes milked over. His badge photo matched, but the face had shrunk, skin too tight, like vacuum-sealed meat. I whispered, "Hey, are you—" His head rotated 180 degrees without torso moving. Mouth opened. Inside was a red 13½ button, pulsing like a throat-lodged heart. I ran. At the end of the hall I found the elevator again. Same brass, same lattice, yet I had walked straight for minutes, never turning. Doors opened instantly. Inside, my reflection, but delayed by half a second, as if the mirror needed buffering. I stepped in, reflection me step late. I hit L, doors closed. Car rose instead of fell. Floor indicator, 14, 15, 16. Then L, impossible arithmetic. Lobby looked identical to the one I knew, until I saw the security camera. Instead of a lens, a human iris stared back, dilating when I moved. I fled to the street. Dawn-painted tenements peach. Nobody else on sidewalk. Later that day I confronted Jose, the superintendent. His door sat beneath the staircase, always locked. I knocked until paint flaked. He opened, reeking of garlic and bleach. When I described floor 13 and a half, he crossed himself so hard his knuckles cracked. That floor is blueprint dust, he muttered. Torn out during depression. Elevator machinery eats a space. I demanded blueprints. He refused. I pushed. His eyes narrowed to slits. You wrote it, didn't you? At 3:13. I nodded. He handed me a keycard labeled maintenance, authorized only. Use it once. Never twice. At 3:12 a.m. sharp, insert into panel. It will take you to the machine room. Pull the red lever. Get out. Do not look at anything else. I asked why help now. Because it needs a new super, he whispered. And I'm tired. His reflection in the peephole behind me waved though he stood still. That night I set alarms for 3:10. I wore thick boots, carried a headlamp, pockets full of salt. Internet said ghosts hate it. Worth a shot. Elevator waited. Doors open like yawn. I entered, inserted the keycard. A hidden slot swallowed it. Panel buzzed, then displayed Mr. Machine Room. Card descended past B1. B2, deeper than foundation should allow. Doors open onto a cavernous space lit red. Cables thicker than python slithered through pulleys the size of wagon wheels. Grease and copper stung my lungs. In the center, a single lever painted crimson. Above it, a sign, emergency release, 13 and a half. I grabbed it. A voice, my own future voice, cracked and afraid, shouted from every direction. Don't. You'll free us all. I pulled. The building convulsed. Not metaphor, actual earthquake. Red light strobe. Cables whipped, spraying metal hair. Floor indicator in elevator spun like slot machine. 12, 13 and a half, 14, 13 and a half, 13, 13 and a half, infinity. I sprinted into the car, slammed L. Doors shut just as a cable snapped, whipping past like decapitated snake. The climb felt vertical as a roller coaster. At lobby doors opened to normal fluorescent glare. Night guard sipping coffee, unaware. He looked up. Rough shift. Behind him, security monitor showed lobby, empty. Yet in the reflection of the screen, I stood covered in blood that wasn't mine. Next morning, the elevator panel had changed. Between 12 and 14 now sat a brand new button. 13 and a half, brass shiny as morning sun. No longer hidden. No longer secret. A tenant. Nose ring. Earbuds. Stepped in. Pressed it without hesitation. Doors closed. I shouted. Too late. I took the stairs. On 14, I listened outside shaft. No sound. No return. The building directory beside mailboxes had updated overnight. 13 and a half, penthouse. Inquire within. 1 week later, I found an envelope slid under my door. Heavy paper. Embossed seal of the building management. Inside, a lease addendum promoting me to resident superintendent, floor 13 1/2. Salary, 0. Benefits, perpetual occupancy. Clipped to it, the red lever, now pocket-sized, attached to a keyring. At 3:13 a.m. tonight, the elevator will ding. The button will light without being pressed. I will step inside. I will press 13 and a half. Because someone must keep the corridor fed, the lever pulled, the numbers straight. And if you ever ride this elevator at 3:12 a.m., doors opening on a floor that isn't there, remember, do not step out. Do not look at the reflections. And never, never add your name to the book on the little green desk. The building already knows it.